obviously achieved some of the things that needed to be achieved in the Millennium Development Goals. But the beauty of the Sustainable Development Goals is that Kenya has decided to focus on 5 of them. And to list them, there's environment, there's agriculture and food security, there's the health, there's enterprise and innovation, as well as universal education. Sorry, I was just trying to remember. Right. And these are areas where the young people can take advantage of. You rightfully mentioned that we have the highest number of unemployed youth in the East Southern Africa region, which stands at a staggering 40%, which is abysmal. But what we can do about this is, one of the things we need to do is change our attitudes as youth. Right. There's always a big misperception of, we want things handed to us. We don't want to go out there and take advantage of them. And it's very interesting that yesterday there was a book launch of a book titled Youth Unemployment in Kenya is a Ticking Time Bomb. It's a collection of a lot of authors. And one of the things that has been highlighted there is so much
and that is actually causing a market demand mismatch, because what we're seeing is that there's an increased number of demand for science skills as opposed to the art skills. And so how exactly do we turn around to make it more of us taking advantage of the existing market demand that we have in Kenya today?
Okay. One of the things the CS Matiang'i also mentioned during the book launch was that they would be setting up vocational training centers in all the 47 counties, which is absolutely fantastic news, because we have this tendency of imagining the arts as kazi ya mkono. We never view painters as holistically this is a career or a profession. We never view the people the artwork that they do. I mean, you walk around various shops in town and you see this absolutely amazing decor done, but then you do not appreciate that this is actually not just kazi ya mkono. It's not the jua kali sector. And we've always had a negative perception to the informal sector, yet that is where the highest potential lies. Currently, the private sector employs about 1.7 million people. That's statistics from 2014. Yes. The government employs about 700,000 people. Where are all these other people? Yes. It's in the informal sector, which currently supports about 10.2 million people. So why are we not taking advantage of this and leverage on the opportunities that are there?
All right, and today one of the challenges that we're dealing with, of course, is corruption. And we've also seen a number of people being probed in that regard. Money has gone missing, the 791 million youth fund. And then we're also seeing an extra 180 million from the Youth Enterprise Fund as well that did go missing. And this is where the young people are actually asking, where do we get this money? If the money is existent and it's being swindled or embezzled in whatever ways, and we cannot access this money that does belong to us, how are we going to grow the younger people into enterprise establishing a generation?
Understand absolutely how discouraged we can get. I get discouraged most of the times when I read about the enormous amounts of money that are lost. But I like looking at things half full instead of half empty. This obviously shows us that our checks and balances are working. If they weren't working, that money would have been lost without us ever, suspecting a thing. And in as much as there are those challenges that we're dealing with, there are also some good stories that accompany that. For instance, we have the 30% reserved for the special group. For the people who've taken advantage of it, joy, it has worked for them. It has really worked. The problem is sometimes we really tend to dwell on the negatives. We forget that, let me give it a try. And surprisingly, the people who make most noise about some of these things, I noticed when I was in a particular session in an institution, have never taken the effort of, have you gone and registered a company? Have you applied for any tender. And in as much government cannot wholly provide or cannot be the solution to all our grievances as youth. We also have our own inherent, entrepreneurial skills. What are we doing about it? We have people who start businesses with as low as 5,000 shillings and they grow. Sometimes the problem is that we want to start big bang theory. We can't. You have to slowly and gradually. Yeah, you start small and grow big.
All right, let's talk about devolution and the new constitution as well that allowed for counties to be devolved. But how has devolution really been of advantage to the young people in the counties today and across the country?
Part of my work involves working a lot with various counties. Obviously, there are challenges in particular counties, and some are doing a stellar job in terms of the equitable distribution of resources, providing opportunities for young people. I have been to a county where the governor knows all his county executives by name, the deadlines of what they're supposed to do. There are counties that I've met, that I've interacted with, that have special provisions for where the youth can be given opportunities as well as learn what kind of roles or what sort of role they can take up in the counties. Right. Devolution is a new concept to everyone, and we're all looking at how best to implement it. Obviously, everything, as a young mom, you have a son, yeah? Yes. And it's a learning process for you too. So when we look at things to work 100%, we will never achieve anything. Mm-hmm. We have to, it's always a learning process. Some challenge that we face today will be a solution tomorrow.
All right. So when you look at innovation as well, I think one of the most prized innovations that Kenya can actually boast about the M-Pesa. And so M-Pesa happens to be the big cow that Kenya is proud of to date. But there's not one big innovation that we can actually say came next after M-Pesa, because what we saw is that after M-Pesa was innovated, then we had other innovators riding on the innovation of M-Pesa and duplicating the product. And so when it comes to innovation, actually the World Bank says that Kenya has good after M-Pesa, which turned 9 years just the other day. So how best can we take advantage of the opportunities we have to innovate new products that can sell the country around the world?
M-Pesa was massive. It's a brilliant story that we all are proud about. But the problem is sometimes we don't go to the counties per se. We don't delve into not just the ICT. We don't go into, say, agriculture, because that's where I largely work with. Mm-hmm. There are massive innovations there. There is something called the keyhole agriculture. Nobody knows about it. There are things that people have been working on. There is a sheller machine that people can actually shell maize nowadays at, a faster rate, and it's an employment opportunity for a lot of people. But we don't have those stories. We don't have those stories highlighted of the kind of impact they've given. There's once a mushroom, you can grow a mushroom on a 4x6 kind of room. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are the kind of stories that we need highlighted more to just see how great they have been working in this specific counties.
That possibly we are dealing with a generation of young people who don't exactly know where the opportunities lie, and so they always think, I think if somebody made it using this innovation, then I'm going to make it using the same innovation. Do you think that it's probably an issue of not having enough when it comes to brainstorming and thinking outside the box? Do you think that's a challenge we're dealing with at the moment?
It's largely, to a large extent, it's an issue of attitude. Mm-hmm. We always imagine if Doreen is doing great as a business host, that's where I want to be. We never look at expanding our horizons. It's very interesting. In Kenya, we have only 4 statistical mathematicians. Only 4. Yes. And that's an opportunity where people can look at. We have so many things, so many opportunities out there. There's one time we're looking for someone for water and sanitation, but we couldn't get anyone because people do not feel environment really plays a big role. Mm-hmm. So we have a whole number of youth geared towards one or two specific areas of interest without really exploring what other potential is out there. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Lise. We do appreciate the kind of conversation that does drive agenda improving trade around Africa and also economics around the continent. Then I think there's certain issues we need to put into consideration. If the youth are getting innovative, what is it